Please welcome the creators of the viral PSA that we were all sending to each other on social media. Get your booty to the pole. Paul Fox and dancers Coy Malone and Zipporah. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thanks for having us.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
I am excited to talk to you all because listen, we all done seen the PSA and sent it to each other. Like, did y'all see this? Did y'all see this? And people had their opinions, and we have a lot of things to say about that. But before we get into all of that, I want to ask you all personally how you all are doing. I can't not ask y'all how y'all doing with this pandemic, civil unrest. 2020 has been a lot, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been so much. There's a lot going on. I'm doing okay. I work in the film industry, and we're finally back to work.
Oh, good, good, because that definitely suffered a lot. Ladies, how about yourselves?
I'm doing pretty good. Everything is going well. I've gotten very creative with the time that I had, especially during quarantine. I started picking up things like roller skating and riding my bike that's just been sitting in my living room for like over a year. I'm like, it's time to get out and do things that I normally don't get a chance to do. As far as work is concerned, I did have concerns about returning back to work. I did take my precautions a lot longer than a lot of other people did. The clubs here in Atlanta opened in, I want to say in July, but I didn't go back until September just to give it some time. And I'm not even there that often just to take precaution. But everything has been good. I've been testing negative during the entire pandemic, which is great. And then with the film industry, there is a lot more restrictions and things like that on set. So it was a little bit difficult to kind of get used to, but I'm glad those procedures are set in place for that.
Okay, I definitely want to ask y'all about the clubs because do y'all wear the mask still?
I do.
Really?
I do.
Well,
Some management enforces it. And then I've been to a club where they don't enforce it. So I think it just really depends on the management team and how they feel. But I always tell people, like, just because you entered into this building does not make it a COVID-free zone.
I think that's wildly interesting that like you can dance and still just have like the mask on and I don't know. I just wow. Crazy. It's just crazy times that we're in right now, like all the things that we got to do differently, you
Right.
know? Zipporah, how are you doing?
Yeah, the 2020 has been so crazy, so crazy. And I feel like I ate myself into a 15 extra pounds the first couple of months, but after that I just had to work it off. So I just been kind of working out a lot. And for me, I besides doing pole dancing, I'm also in the fashion industry. So that kind of shut down a bit, just dealing with factories like overseas and in China, which is, where a lot of it started. So, we're just slowly getting back to opening up, working in the factories or working with factories again. So that's been a plus. And then also, because I do also teach pole dancing, we also have to wear masks, teaching and working out. So that's a little bit of an adjustment. And the same with koi, film, and things of that nature. It is a huge adjustment having to get COVID tests every time you're on set, or when there's an idea or something, you have to get COVID tests, a few days before. So it is a huge adjustment, but I think the biggest adjustment was probably the weight gain.
I'm telling you, okay. But also on the flip side, well, people like me, I only have to be seen from like the chest up. So y'all don't really see the spread that's going on in this chair right about now. So it's okay. So, Atlanta is, of course, the home of some of the hottest strip clubs in the country. I used to live there, and that was like, that's where people had business meetings, went on dates, got the best chicken wings. I'm saying the best lemon pepper wings. How has the pandemic affected that industry? I know they're back open again now, but how was it a major hit to that industry?
Well, it was a hit at first just because a lot of people depended solely on the club industry and their job. And so, at first we were like, what are we going to do? We don't know what's going on. The thing about dancers in Atlanta, we are now considered employees. So we're not independent contractors. We're able to do things like pay taxes, report taxes. And because of that, now we were able to actually apply for unemployment, some of us, depending on how much money that we made, and what have you. And with that, that did help. And then when the clubs reopened, believe it or not, they were going crazy. They were spending money like left and right. I'm talking about, folks told me they compared it to the days of a rapper named Big Meech, who used to just come in and just throw money everywhere, and girls were leaving with $10,000 and $20,000. I've known people that have saved up that amount of money and more just because of the pandemic. And I guess, you know, people were at home saving money and they were ready to get out. And the first chance they got, they did it. And so there was a big wave of a lot of money that went through the clubs, believe it or not, when they reopened.
Wow. Yeah. My friends in Atlanta say that they weren't shut down that much, like not just the strip clubs, but Atlanta kind of carried on, like a little bit business as usual for a lot of people out there.
Yeah. And I wasn't really with that because, like we said, there's still a pandemic going on. COVID-19 is real. There are people that have gotten sick. I've had cousins in the hospital for months. I have friends that have passed away, several friends that have passed away of COVID-19. So for me, I understand that on the business end, yes, we have an economy that was suffering. We have businesses, and especially small businesses, that were suffering. At the same time, I'm thinking about my healthcare and my safety, and how much more of a risk am I putting myself into by going into a packed club nightly.
Yeah, well, I'm glad hopefully there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and hopefully a lot of this light starts getting lighter after November 3rd. So let's talk about the biggest, topic of this year is all the controversy surrounding the presidential election, which has been an entire nightmare to me. I just feel like every time we turn around, they're trying to repress votes and take voting rights away, make these lines super long, discourage people, make people so turned off they're like, I ain't vote for nobody. So what are your thoughts? And Zipporah, I want to start with you. What are your thoughts on this election and the direction things are going in?
I mean, I have so many thoughts, but, I just feel like Trump should be the leader of the country, and he doesn't necessarily set the best example for how the rest of us should act, or, what our opinions may be, how opinionated we should be or shouldn't be. But I just feel like that this election is one that is, it's so complicated because, it's I don't know. I feel like it has something to do with more morals and values than it does actual things or things that they stand for. So, Trump, I feel like some Republicans feel that Trump, cutting taxes and things of that nature, but I feel like morally, that would be a reason why you shouldn't vote for Trump, because he does so many things that are immoral and illegal. But I feel like it sets a tone, for the entire country. And there's so much complexity in that, in the messages that he spews every day on Twitter. So, it just makes it so much harder for people to really believe in politics or the politicians that we are to vote for. So it makes it harder for people to want to come out and vote because, they're just unsure who to believe at this point, especially when the leader himself is just so dishonest and distrustful.
Well, I agree with everything you said. And if you're sick and tired of what you've been seeing, there is a way to end all of this, people. There's a way to end all of this by getting your booty to the polls. And you all are the stars and the masterminds behind the viral PSA, which is Get Your Booty to the Poll, that has swept the nation since we've been in quarantine. So let's take a look.
Get your booty to the pole, 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 yeah.
Did we get your attention? Good. So, you're really not gonna vote?
You know it's more than just the president on the ballot, right? Check it.
A district attorney decides who to prosecute,
including whether or not to go after dirty cops. Do you know who elects the DA?
We do, but you don't want to vote.
Okay, now listen, everybody I know already saw this. So I want to ask you, Paul, how did you and your partner, your co-producer, Angela Barnes, come up with this concept?
Hey, Claudia, thanks for asking. Over the summer, after our president's infamous now Bible photo opportunity, me and a good friend of mine went straight to DC, and we protested for a few days. And when I came home, I was looking for like-minded people who could, or who would wanted to do more than just protest and complain and burn down Wendy's, as you see. That was a big part of Atlanta history this year. We wanted to find people who wanted to make a bigger difference. And Angela, the director and the writer of this PSA, was one of those people. And so she and I got together because she had an idea for this PSA. We came together. I thought it was a great idea. I wanted to produce it. I wanted to help her put it together. And that's what happened. We began doing, it was a loose idea. We began doing research for it. She wrote it out. We started to kind of shop it around to people who are in the know with politics, who are in the know with what Black men are looking for as far as what our interests are. On a large scale, not just my personal opinion, but just kind of, what do Black men in Atlanta, in America are looking for? What are their interests? And we discovered that a lot of people are not making PSAs. They're not addressing our needs or our concerns. And so that ended up being a really, really big deal for us. And we were able to write this and bring in these wonderful dancers like Koi and Zipporah to help create this entire thing. And that's what ended up being about. It was about our talent, and it was about this idea that there are these concerns, these issues that Black men have in America that are not addressed by politicians, because as a voting bloc, people don't consider us because we don't vote very often.
So, I got to ask, okay, it sounds like you put a lot of thought into this and you took it very seriously. You said you did research, and there was a lot of pushback online. Some people were appalled, right? They were like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. This is what they think of us. They're using strippers and ass. This is what the Democratic Party, they thought you guys were Democratic operatives that were paid by the Democratic Party to, appeal to us using the strip culture and ass. And then people thought we Black folks were being made a mockery of. Ladies, why did you get involved in the project? And what do you say to people that said, this is some bullshit, they think we're all ratchet, and because I'm sure y'all saw the comments like I did.
I did. And if I could start that off, because the funny thing is that we didn't really know what we were going to wear that day. And we just so happened to wear blue. So it truly is nonpartisan. But when I realized that people said it was more of Democrat, and I started thinking, why do they think that? And I said, oh, wait, probably most of us are wearing some sort of blue more than we are red. So it really is a nonpartisan video. But I really wanted to be a part of it because, I was just excited about the message, and I was just excited about the opportunity to, just get the message out there to people who may not feel like their vote matters, or even who don't understand the power of their vote. So, that was pretty important to me. And also, if I can be very honest, I learned a lot doing the video. Doing the PSA, I did not vote in the last election. I have to say humbly that I did not vote in the last election because I was actually in a blue state. So I felt like my vote, why do I need to vote? The blue state was already very strong. But what I didn't understand was the down ballot of it all, which is very, very important as well. So, I too learned a lot. And for me, what I found is that it sparked a conversation. People were talking, whether it was, good or bad or indifferent, whether you liked it or not, whether you were appalled or you were excited to see Nikki and Koi do all the things on the poll. It was just exciting just to get people talking about voting. And the focus was more on, African Americans, Black men, what their needs are, and, and helping to push that narrative about, them getting out to vote. So for me, the backlash, I didn't think two things of it. It is what it is. People can feel how they feel. And at the end of the day, the message is still the same. It doesn't change whether we would have, dressed in all Black, or if, we were dressed as we were, the message still stands. You need to get your booty to the poll. So.
Very well said. And Koi, I want to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to get your answer. And Paul, I saw you over there. You was just smiling when she was talking about shooting it. And I think you had a lot of fun on this video, this PSA. I'm just going to say that. I'm sure it wasn't a hard day of work. We're going to take a quick break, and we have more Out Loud on Fox Soul when we return. Welcome back to Out Loud with your girl, Claudia Jordan, soulmate. If you want to see more Foxhole content, go to www.foxhole.tv or download that Foxhole app, or you can watch us on Fox Now, Fire TV, Roku, YouTube, Apple TV, Zumu TV, or Caffeine.tv. Now, if you're just tuning in, I'm here with the co-creator of the viral PSA that everybody was talking about. Get your booty to the pole, Paul Fox, and dancers Coy Malone and Zipporah. We talked about the blowback, and people had all kinds of shit to say about y'all, and this is ghetto, and this is this and this and that. And people put this on the Democrats and said they were, this is what they think of us. They think we're just lowbrow, that just, appealing to us through strippers is so, typical Democratic tactic. And I wanted to get your take on this, Coy, and see what you thought about, all the things that people had to say. And also why you decided to do this.
I decided to participate in this PSA because these are conversations I was already having on Facebook, Instagram, in person. I've even had arguments about people not voting and what it means to vote and what it means when you don't vote and how it affects you and your community. And it's not just about the presidential election. It's about your local elections and things that directly affect you and your community, including voting for judges, voting for DAs, voting for taxes, voting for laws, voting on districting and zoning and things like that. It's very, very important. And I felt like if I participate in a PSA and it summarizes this message into 1 minute and 30 seconds, I can post this link instead of arguing with these people because they are not understanding what I'm saying and why this is important. And it worked. And I got a lot of good feedback from it, and people that never voted or just didn't understand the importance of voting decided to get up and vote, and they would hit me up with messages and say, hey, I never really thought about it like this. This has motivated me. I'm going to register to vote right now. I've gotten a lot of messages, several messages saying I want to go early vote. Then I did see a lot of the backlash day one on Instagram. There were major influencers, and there were so many videos that were uploaded on YouTube. And I just told people, listen, I understand, okay, you don't agree with the messengers and what have you, but the thing is with dancers, we're regular citizens too. We have a glorified type of job, but when we clock out, when we take these heels off, when we wipe off the makeup and pull off the lashes, we're citizens. Some of them are mothers, some of them homeschool their children, some are business owners, just like the business owners that were, they were keyboard thugging basically about the PSA. We pay taxes, we go to work, we go check our mail. We do a lot of things we have a lot of stuff in common. So, I mean, it's a taboo type of industry. It's unorthodox. At the same time, if everybody, instead of judging who was delivering the message, if they literally just close their eyes and listen to the message, they would see that it compares across the board all the same. Go vote. This is who you vote for. When you vote, this is what is on your ballot. It's not just the president. You vote for your local office as well.
You're right. What y'all was saying was very informative. The things you had to say was very informative. But then again, how do y'all feel about folks criticizing because it's coming from dancers, and they'll say, oh, it's just strippers showing their ass. And, I think sex in America, especially, is used to advertise everything. It's used to advertise everything. I say this over and over again. A lot of times when it's Black women doing it, it's called ghetto and hoochie and stank and we do it ourselves. We say it too, right, to each other. Mm-hmm. And I do want to read the comments. We got viewer comment. Irene Montoya said, "I love the PSA. Zipporah, yes, you got people talking." And Paul, what do you say? Because, you've gotten backlash and comments that stated that the women in the PSA are being exploited and over-sexualized for male consumption. And you're just taking advantage of these women. What are your thoughts?
I think it really just reveals how classist America is. What was it, about a year ago, we were all upset and up in arms because a reporter told LeBron to shut up and dribble. And here we are telling these dancers to shut up and dance, and we don't want to hear from them or hear their opinions. Black women are some of the most they're some of the most educated people in the entire country. as far as a group of people. You know, most of our dancers have degrees, have been to school, are doing things with their lives outside of dancing. It's a really, really, really big deal. And it's really insulting to hear Black men, to hear Black women, and to hear all kinds of other random people whose opinions I really don't care about talk about how, well, these women should just be dancing. They should shut up and dance. We don't want to hear from them. We don't want to talk about that. We don't care what they have to say. Well, guess what? Everyone in America is American. If you live here, if you were raised here, if you were born here and you grew up here, as all of our dancers did, as our entire crew did, as Angela, who wrote this, did, we're American. We have opinions. And, you know, I think that for Black people generally, we are working towards making a better life for ourselves as a whole people. We're working really, really hard to do that. And when we try to shut down voices because they're not the voice we want to hear, when we shut down our dancers in this PSA, when we shut down Ice Cube because of what he's doing right now, we're not listening to all the voices. We're not paying attention to the overall message, which is that there are people out there who are trying to make the world a better place for us. And you don't have to agree 100%, but a big part of it is that this is a conversation, okay? We are bringing up issues. We are talking about things that are important to us that we know are important to a lot of you out there. And if your only response is, oh, well, I don't like who said it, I don't like how they went about that, I don't like the approach, that's not enough. That's not enough. You know, I marched in DC so that I wouldn't have to. I marched in DC because I was angry. All right. And I took action after that. I took action in this PSA. I tried to expand my voice, and I worked with these dancers. I worked with Angela to make sure that our voices got heard and multiplied and amplified. And that's where we are right now. And if you don't like it, I don't want to hear about how we shouldn't talk to dancers. We shouldn't hear from dancers. You know, I want to hear what your solution is. We need to be all about solutions and not about just complaining constantly. Jeez.
Great point. Yeah. And what you mentioned, you touched upon LeBron James, on Ice Cube, and the dancers. There's a long-standing thing here in the country, actually the world. If you've done something that people can look down the nose on, or if you do one thing, like people like to put you in a box. Okay, you're an athlete, be an athlete. You're a dancer, you're a stripper, take your clothes off and shut up. You're a rapper, just rap. I think, you know, I like the point you made that, you know, all three of you actually made, that you're still citizens and you pay taxes and you live here and you still have voices and you have kids and families. And what's different from you than the next person? Like, you still should have that opportunity to speak your mind. I do appreciate that. So what would y'all say to voters that are still undecided about whether or not they even want to vote in this presidential election? They still don't know. I'm not sure if I want to vote. I'm kind of over it. I'm sick of it. They're all the same. What do y'all think? What do y'all say to them that are watching right now?
If there's anyone out there who's still undecided about whether or not they should actually vote, they should take the time out to look at what is on their ballot to vote for. There is so much more to vote for than just the president of the United States. There's so much more to vote for than just your senator. There's so much legislation in office that we have to vote for, that we have to figure out. You know, we have to vote on our local judges. You know, we have to vote on the local sheriffs. What does your local sheriff believe in? What do your local judges believe in? You know, it's a really big deal. It is so much deeper than on the federal level. You know, we have the opportunity to change problems that we see on a smaller scale that affects us exponentially. And that's what the bigger deal is. Every election cycle, that's what the bigger deal is. You know, we always go in for the okie doke because we get tired of hearing about the president versus who wants his job and all the drama that comes from that. It's not about that. It's about on your local level. That's what it's about.
Well said. Well, you know, I'm not going to lie. When I first saw the video, I was like, what is this shit? I'm telling you right now. I did say that. I said, this is some ghetto ass shit. Okay. This is what I thought. I'm letting you know right now, because I'm going to be honest with y'all. And I think a lot of people thought that, but they didn't have a chance to sit down and hear this from you. And I'm glad I had this conversation with y'all, because you make a lot of sense. You know, I've been on a reality show and I've been told, shut up, we don't hear from you. Why are you speaking on this? And that makes a lot of sense. I still pay taxes. Y'all still pay taxes. You still matter. Everybody in the screen right here matters. And if we matter and you have a stake in this country and in your future, you have the right to promote, you have the right to encourage people to vote, and people should still listen to you. I did listen to what, I know Claudia said, if you have a problem with the video, close your eyes and listen. And you guys are saying some real stuff in the video, in the PSA. And I appreciate that, because you don't have to do this. Y'all can make your money and not give a damn. But the fact that you do, you are reaching a demographic that may not necessarily care about it. You know what I mean? And in all of our fields, not just in the dancing world, but there's people out there that relate to you guys. So I think you're using your voice and you're doing what you're supposed to do. And I appreciate y'all. So I'm with it. I appreciate y'all coming by. Paul, I appreciate what you said about, we got to use our voices and listen. So thank you for coming on here and talking about that. I appreciate y'all. And everybody watching, I'm gonna need y'all to get your booty to the polls and vote and get out there and use your voice. Because if you don't vote, I don't want to hear your mouth afterwards, because you don't really have a stake in this.